What the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4, which aired yesterday on Disney Plus, and we are here at Close Encounters of the Nerd Kind to take you through our reaction and our speculation for the final 2 episodes in the season. So, episode 4 started as episode 3 left with Ayo and Bucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we at the end of episode 3 we saw Ayo turn up on the wanting Zemo on the search for him. And with episode 4 starting, we go straight into Wakanda, which is fantastic.
6 years ago.
It was a flashback from 6 years ago, and we see Ayo and Bucky round a campfire, and Ayo doing the command words for the Winter Soldier. Very emotional Bucky, obviously crying, trying to resist the command words.
So in cycling through a lot of his actions as the Winter Soldier.
All his memories, etc. We saw some flashbacks of Cat. And then when the final words were said, freight car, he didn't turn, he didn't comply, and he was very emotional after that.
Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic scene, really well acted.
Yeah, and again, it's bringing Bucky back to being human.
But it also shows a reaction between those 2 characters as well, so it shows that there's a history there that they can explore.
Which I think there's more of a history than just that one scene.
So after that great opening, we cut straight to Sam, Bucky and Zemo all chilling in another one of Zemo's pads. He seems to have a safe house in every continent. But that was a great scene.
Yeah, I love those scenes where it's just the 3 of them. We spoke before regarding the buddy cop scenarios and all the little comments we see. They work really well together. So a really good, interesting scene there. Yeah,
and more so because of Zemo, they got onto quite a philosophical conversation about supremacist and the fact that he felt that the Flag Smashers and Carly or anyone that takes that super soldier serum is inherently susceptible to supremacism. And I think we're starting to see that now. You know, you've seen Carly escalate her behaviour last week as Zemo said she would, and again this week, now killing people literally with her bare hands, as we'll touch on later. And also John Walker, who seems to be escalating quite severely now.
Like I say, right at the start of the programme, those words come out, and I think as soon as we heard those words, we knew what we were going to expect in this episode.
Again, touching on the fundamental morality of what it means to be a superhero. As Baron Zemo said, there hasn't been another Steve Rogers.
And so the next scene, we see the Flag Smashers in their rural hideout. And then we see all the other Flag Smashers listening to the radio and finding out the aftermath of the explosion from the GRC camp. And they don't seem too happy with the way Carly's taking them, the direction they're going in. And then during one of those radio broadcasts, you can hear the presenter talking about the Patch Act, which has a small Wolverine connection, which we also saw in Madripoor in the Princess Bar, where he also has a connection to that. So another little Easter egg teaser for some sort of X-Men connection.
And then we saw another classic buddy cop trope. Let's split up and look for answers. Let's interrogate some suspects. I don't really know what Sam Wilson was thinking walking into the Flag Smashers hideout as an Avenger and thinking he'd be getting some answers. And similarly, Bucky standing in the corner looking scary is not going to do anything, mate. So this is another scene where I think Zemo showed he was far more savvy, far more clever and streetwise than Sam and Bucky.
Streetwise, absolutely, yeah. So we saw Zemo dancing in Madripoor, the old Zemo dance, and now in this episode we've seen him singing lullabies.
And as we said, in the very next scene, more or less, Zemo was exerting that leverage and basically telling Bucky, yeah, I'm keeping it a secret so that I have control over you. And he didn't like that, clearly. As confident and as skilled as Zemo was, you did see an exhale of relief when Sam Wilson stepped in. He don't want to go toe-to-toe with a super soldier still, especially one with a metal arm.
When Bucky threatens Zemo, Sam obviously tells him to calm down, otherwise Zemo's going to pull his famous head tilt.
Yeah, what a great line. One thing we didn't touch on a lot last week, even though she was quite prominent in the episode, was Sharon Carter. She only had a small scene in this one, but we're just going to combine our thoughts from the last 2 episodes into this little segment here. Something's not right. Something's not right with Sharon.
Yeah, she's up to something, isn't she?
Yeah,
she's not telling all the story so far.
Oh, 100%. She told us she's exiled, she's on the run, and yet she has access to 2 satellites. Sorry, and can track Captain America.
Yes, yeah. Very impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, for someone that's on the run.
Yeah, exactly.
And we saw her in what seemed to be a sort of another hideout that she had that wasn't the bar.
An armed hideout as well.
Yeah, armed guards. I say guards. It did look like the Sons of Anarchy.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so she's surrounded by armed thugs, and there's something not right there. So we're just going to have a look at what possible explanations there might be for Sharon that might be revealed in the last 2 episodes. So the first one I'm going to throw out to you is she the power broker?
Potentially, as we don't know who the power broker is. So we wouldn't put it past Marvel to flip the comic book history slightly.
I mean, obviously, there is a power broker in the comics called Curtis Jackson. But who's to say that he wasn't the original in the MCU, and we see Sharon replace him? I mean, there just seems to be so much unknown about Sharon and the power broker at this moment in time that there seems to be a correlation there for me. And I would, like you said, it wouldn't surprise me to see them pull that.
So then there's also speculation that she could be part of S.W.O.R.D. Saw Sharon on the phone during that scene. We saw what appeared to look like the S.W.O.R.D. logo with her zip.
So that might be intentional, might not, but it was interesting. And I mean, even if that wasn't any sort of indicator, she could still be S.W.O.R.D. Clearly S.W.O.R.D. are being set up as some sort of like anti-shield that have emerged. As we discussed last week, maybe that's on the path to a Thunderbolts or a Dark Avengers storyline coming up. And of course, she might be working with the CIA. We mentioned last week, maybe they are the ones that were engaging Nagel in Madripoor as some sort of secret cover to carry on super soldier experiments.
Yeah, potentially. They've been name dropped already. We know her background, her history.
The one thing I would probably say to counter that is those guards didn't really look like professional government agents.
No, they were definitely hired gun types.
They were definitely hired goons.
Yeah.
And as Jamie touched on, there's been, over WandaVision and this series, there's been a few X-Men Easter eggs being dropped. I think that might be a bit of a red herring. With Secret Invasion confirmed and upcoming, it becomes the time that we start to have to question whether someone is a Skrull.
What a twist that would be. What a twist.
Well,
you know, they've touched on S.W.O.R.D. We've seen the Skrulls. Why not? Why couldn't she be a Skrull?
and you have to sort of look at anyone that acts out of character.
Yes.
You has to be under suspicion, and if there's one thing Sharon is doing, it's acting out of character. So it'd be interesting to see what comes of Sharon's fate and any revelations regarding her in the next 2 episodes. My personal opinion is that she is the power broker, but she is also a Skrull. I don't know what you think.
Yeah.
It would be great if in the last episode we met another Sharon.
Yes.
But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. And again, this is just our speculation. I'm sure you might have some more, so please chuck them in the comments if you do.
Absolutely.
So then we see the remaining super soldier serum, which is being stashed at some graveyard.
Well, Nico's grandfather, wasn't it?
Yeah, their little hiding place.
I would have thought that serum would have to be refrigerated, but apparently not.
No.
You know.
During that conversation with Carly and Nico, Nico explained that during his childhood he wanted to be, or he was a Captain America fan.
Yeah,
which was very interesting.
Fan. Yeah, so the irony then that what happens later in the episode, which we will get to shortly, the irony of that scene then really hit home. Following that, we see John Walker finally catch up with Sam, Bucky and Zemo again, and he's not happy.
No.
One thing that I want to point out, and I think you agree, is there's numerous points in this episode and throughout the previous episodes where Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar, has really shown to be a balancing point for John Walker. He always seems to bring him down when John is starting to escalate.
And it also seems to be the only person that John listens to.
Exactly. He's the only person that he really seems to trust and take advice from.
That's right, yeah.
Anyway, they go and find Dunya Madani's memorial and have a little conversation about how they approach it. And we saw Sam sort of exerting a bit of control here.
Yes, yeah. He wanted to obviously have a chat with Carly, see if he can talk her down, especially with his background being a counsellor for war veterans, where Captain America, John Walker, wanted to go
all in shield blazing.
It's shield blazing, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So
and I could see both arguments, to be honest. You know, John made a good point. She has just bombed a government building with people inside. You know, this has escalated beyond.
Next? What will she do next?
This has escalated beyond just talking about it. But again, we see Lamar step in and convince John to give Sam a chance, albeit He only gave him 10 minutes.
Yes, yeah, and why not give Sam a chance? Why not go down that route first rather than, like you say, all shields blazing?
Yeah. And this was a great bit of character development for Sam as well. We saw him in the act of counselling, and he was very clever with Carly, got her to see a different perspective before Captain America bursts in and pretty much gets his ass handed to him.
Again.
Again. Consistent theme in the first 4 episodes.
Yes, yeah, and he was not happy. He was not happy with that, was he?
Yeah, I think since more or less his first scene, you've seen him struggling to deal with taking up the mantle and perhaps a bit of an inferiority complex. And we see that shortly afterwards, where he gets his ass handed to him again by the Dora Milaje.
Yes, yeah, and you can see it's frustrating him. You know, he's been a war hero, and now he's fighting these normal people, let's say, with this super serum, and he can't defeat them.
Of course, our heroes had locked up Zemo in handcuffs, and of course he escaped.
Classic Zemo.
Classic Zemo. Pretty soon after Carly fled Captain America and Sam Wilson, Zemo catches up with her, and he's a bit less forgiving than Sam. Shoots her straight in the stomach.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. Pretty merciless, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tried to follow up. She managed to get away, but Zemo did have some satisfaction as he thinks he's basically performed half of his mission in destroying the super soldier serum.
Yeah. Or
great scene.
Yeah, during Carla's escape, she drops all the serum, and he then goes across and
smashes it up.
Stamps on all of them, yeah. Or what he thinks is all of them.
What he thinks is all of them. And obviously, as we see shortly after that, Captain America knocks him out and finds one. Captain America did his own little head tilt when he saw it.
Yeah, I did catch that.
And pockets it.
Yeah.
Good costume designer. There's pockets in those costumes as well. Always useful.
Perfect.
Following that, we get 2 really excellent scenes for me that sort of contrast each other. John Walker asking Hoskins whether he would take the super soldier serum, and Hoskins without hesitation saying yes, reminding John of the amount of lives they could have saved in Afghanistan. And I thought it was quite poignant when John said that this was the first time he felt like he was doing something right, considering some of the acts he probably had to do in Afghanistan. So that was interesting. And conversely, you had Zemo ask Sam the same question.
Yes.
And with equally as little hesitation, Sam answered no, But Zemo and Sam's conversation is pretty much cut short by the appearance of John Walker and then the appearance of
the Dora Milaje, as we
Dora
were expecting. Gave him 8 hours. That time was up, and so they've come to get Zemo.
Yeah.
So the first action from the Dora Milaje is a spear straight into the wall.
Yeah.
Then John Walker seems to think he can talk around.
Yeah, tried to reason with them.
Classic Miles Morales scene there, doing the old shoulder grab.
Yes, yeah.
The Dora Milaje did not like that one bit, and then it suddenly kicks off again, and he gets his ass kicked again.
Yeah. Sam and Bucky tried to step in, but I mean,
I think
you don't mess with the Dora Milaje.
No, and as Sam rightly said, you'd rather mess with Bucky rather than the Dora Milaje.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, very good scene. And it was really good to see the action side of the Dora Milaje and how good they are in battle.
Yeah,
amazing.
And then you saw AO with a disarming technique on Bucky.
Literally a disarming technique.
Yeah. And he was quite surprised by this. And I think he actually felt a little bit confused because you sort of mentioned last week, what if he's a Wakandan agent? I sort of mentioned, what if he's got some Wakandan programming? Maybe this is a sign that there are contingencies in place for the Dora Milaje and Wakanda to deal with Bucky should he ever become a problem, or potentially to use him for their own means.
Yeah, because at that point when he was in Wakanda, he was all we knew of the one only super soldier. He was the only one we knew of. So why wouldn't Wakanda want to use him as potentially an agent of Wakanda?
It was definitely interesting to see Bucky and the fact that he didn't know that they could do that.
Yeah, the shock on his face was very good. Yeah.
And we see this episode build to the finale with Carly actually escalating her behaviour again, calling Sarah and just straight up threatening kids now. So it's
I
not
do think there's a good
realms.
side to her. I do believe that, and I think she just made that phone call. She wanted to meet with
I think
the
so.
Falcon, with Sam Wilson.
And so the finale arrives. Sam goes to meet with Carly.
Yeah.
Not alone, as she pointed out.
Yeah. We see the Falcon suit again. Haven't seen that for a while now during the show. I think we only saw it in episode 1.
I think so. Yeah.
So again, that was very good to see, and you can clearly see that Sam is not happy with Carly for obviously threatening his nephews, which he would not be. Yeah, exactly. And then we see Satellite Sharon tracking John Walker from the depths of Madripoor. And John Walker's on his way to intercept them.
Yeah. And so that takes us to the finale of the episode. I'm still reeling from it. I'm sure all of you are, even a day after I've watched it. The shocking imagery, twofold, of the escalation of Carly and the escalation of John Walker. We see John Walker powered up.
Yeah, he decided.
He decided to take that serum, and that's what threw a spanner in the works of Carly's plan. I think they hadn't accounted for that. They thought the serum was gone.
That's right. We saw him fighting with some flag smashers, and it was clearly the flag smashers were and they were like, wow, and they literally ran.
Yeah. That's when their plans changed. Well, it didn't really, because Carly still
attempted to
be fair to them, they carried through with their plan.
That's right.
And were it not for Hoskins,
yeah,
they may have succeeded. But as it is, this is where the tragedy comes in, because she uses her powers to kill Hoskins, and we all see visible shock on everyone's faces.
And again, Hoskins was a good guy.
Hoskins was the good guy.
Side of it all, yes, right.
And what did we say earlier? Hoskins balanced John Walker out.
So what's going to happen now?
Well, we've already discussed, James mentioned a few times about the super soldier serum accentuates who you are.
Yeah.
It has to come from the heart. And without Hoskins to balance him, we see John Walker escalate and use the shield to kill Nico, who, if you were listening earlier, was also the flag smasher who idolised Captain America as a kid.
So ironic.
And this is where we see the title of the episode, where what that really means.
The whole world is watching.
You saw everyone with their phones out, John Walker with a bloodied shield that will have tainted the legacy of that shield. And
what a scene, what a picture that was at the end.
Absolutely
with
amazing.
The blood on the shield, yeah.
Honestly, I think my jaw was on the floor for a good 20 minutes after that.
I think it's one of the darkest scenes we've ever seen in the MCU.
So, with just 2 episodes left of this fantastic series, the state of play is this. Captain America has been seen publicly, brutally killing someone.
Carly and the Flag Smashers are on the run and more desperate than ever.
Sam and Bucky now have to contend with a superpowered John Walker and a superpowered Carly Morgenthau.
And where's Zemo?
Where is Zemo?
I
don't know.
But I really hope the title of episode 5 is called Finding Zemo.
He's probably going to be in a sweet shop yamming down some Turkish delight. But we will bring you our reaction to episode 5 this time next week. Thank you for joining us today on Close Encounters of the Nerd Kind. And if you've enjoyed this video, what should they do?
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay
Nerdified.
nerdified.